Hello there. Good to see everyone. Hey, thank you so much for joining. I'm super excited to be able to talk about cocktails with you. So, welcome. I see some participants starting to come on, and this is amazing. And I love being able to present for some friends and people who are interested. So, guys, we have quite a session today. This is how to make cocktails. My name is Jonathan Pogash. This is all part of the New York Cocktail Expo. Yes, thank you so much to the New York Cocktail Expo. This is great. We will be making some drinks together, and I actually happen to have one right here. So before we go into intros, I just want to intro this first cocktail. This is the welcome cocktail. So welcome everybody. This is the welcome cocktail. Hold on a second, hold on. Oh, it is delightful. It is my Jack-o'-lantern punch. What better time of year to use fall flavors and to have Halloween themed drinks than now? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so this welcome cocktail has some really delicious ingredients, including our base spirit, which is Iron Smoke Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And it is a lovely, delightful, light, and refreshing whiskey. And here it is, friends. This is the Iron Smoke Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So I'm actually going to demonstrate this cocktail in a little bit for those of you who may be watching at home. But I would also like to go over this whiskey. So, guys, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But before I go into this whiskey, I would love to cheers to everyone here. So cheers, all of you. And I'd like to know, so this is casual. This is a casual session. I monitor the Q&A, so definitely ask me questions throughout. And I'm first off going to ask you all a question, okay? I'm going to ask you a question. So let's go to so go ahead to your chat. Make yourselves known. Where are you from and what are you drinking? Please, folks, tell me where you are and what you might be drinking, if you're drinking anything right now. I'm going to start. Yes, oh, already we have a comment. Will you be able to get the recording of this later to watch? Yes, absolutely. I'm drinking, I'm driving. Nope, not driving. I'm multitasking here. I'm drinking a Jack-o'-lantern punch. Yes. Okay. Oh, good. So I am going to cheers. Jillian, cheers to you. Brett, cheers from Minnesota. Manushi from New York, sipping on rosé. Cheers to you. If I took a sip after everyone I'm cheersing, I would be sloshed. Julie from, wow, you guys are quick. Yeah, you are. Angie, Janelle. I said Julie. Yes. Oh, Janelle is still working. Okay. Carol from Washington, you're drinking a Negroni, love it. Karen from Missouri, you're a beer drinker, but your husband just finished your bar in your basement. Oh my gosh, can I come over, please? This is an actual bar. Don't we miss those? Who misses being in bars? I sure do. This is an actual bar. I'm coming to you live from a town called New Bedford, Massachusetts, which is not too far from where I live. Okay, Andrea is sipping wine from Colorado. Leo, Lexington, Kentucky, what's up? Donna, cheers. Rich, cheers. Mary, cheers. Nicola from London, yes, cheers. And David, cheers. Karen, cheers to you guys. And Austin and Pam. You guys are amazing. So this Iron Smoke Bourbon Whiskey. Before I make this cocktail, let's go ahead and just taste it neat on its own. So the way that this evening will go is I am going to demonstrate some cocktails. I'm going to talk about the ingredients that I'm putting into these cocktails. I might throw in some historical tidbits, some stories, and some trivia. I love cocktail trivia. Okay, so I'm going to take a little glass. Hey, look at this. Since I'm in a real bar, I have access to a lot here. Oh, good. Deborah, hi. Oh, you're on the Cape. Great. I'm not too far from you. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to pour a little bit of my whiskey in here, and I'd love to talk about it and kind of taste through it. with you all. Okay, so Iron Smoke Straight Bourbon. So this product is from New York State. It's from Fairport, New York. And for those of you who are familiar, that is just outside of Rochester. It is just north of the Finger Lakes, and they actually get their water from the Finger Lakes. Crisp, cold, refreshing, great water out there. And this is a really lovely product. So this is actually made from a blend of corn, rye, wheat, and barley. And it is applewood smoked. Oh, in the nose, you get this crisp apple. You definitely get apple in the nose, and I think it's quite remarkable, actually. I'm going to give it a sip, okay? You ready? So, okay, first of all, tasting spirits. I only use spirits that work well on their own in cocktails. I won't use a product that I don't like on its own in a cocktail. I mean, that just makes sense. It's the same with food, right? I should be looking at you guys. Here we go. Oh, good. Yes, it is the same. So I always nose with my mouth open, okay? This will kind of awaken all of the taste buds, okay? And I'm going to give it a taste. Well, first of all, I'll take a look. Okay, it is this really nice light caramel color. Give it a nose. Oh, it is nice and balanced. That is what I would say. It is balanced. I get a hint of the apple in there from the applewood, actually. And the ideas for cocktails are going through my brain when I take a sip of this whiskey. It is really lovely. And ladies and gentlemen, here's a quiz question. Okay, here's a first quiz question. How much of taste comes from our nose? You can answer in the chat. How much of taste comes from our nose? This is great. And when I learned this, oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Lillian says 80%, Donna says 90%. And actually, Donna, you are correct. Up to 90% of taste comes from our nose. And it makes sense if you think about it when we are all stuffed up and we cannot smell anything. We also can't taste. So that's why it is so important that a product or food, drink, liquid smell nice, right? Because that's part of taste. Same with cocktails, right? And we'll go into that a little later on. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside. I am going to sip on it, and I am going to hydrate with water. This is water, it's not beer. Okay, this is great. Splashed my eye here a little bit. Okay, for those of you who are joining, who just joined, appreciate it. Thank you so much. The New York Cocktail Expo is allowing me to be here twice. This is my second How to Make Cocktails. They had me back. Why? Anyway, why did they have me? There's nobody here, but I'm pretending that people are here. I might pretend that people are here. I'm in an empty bar. You guys are here. But what I wanted to go over was recipes. If you all don't have recipes for these drinks, if you're following along with ingredients, that is awesome. If you're not, no problem. I'm going to talk through them, and you can also grab recipes. Let's see. I have an email address. You can email newyorkcocktailexpo@gmail.com. Okay? newyorkcocktailexpo@gmail.com. And please make sure to follow New York Cocktail Expo on Instagram. That is at NY Cocktail Expo. And guess what? You can follow me at The Cocktail Guru. Before I tell you a little bit more about myself, I'd like to make this cocktail for you right here, the Jack-O-Lantern Punch. So here I have it. You may think I'm drinking tea. Am I drinking tea? No. I'm drinking a cocktail. Actually, guess what, folks? During Prohibition, when we were not allowed to drink alcoholic beverages, oftentimes drinks were served in teacups. So that when the cops busted in, officer, we're just drinking tea. It's just tea in this cup. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a different type of glass. This is a mug, a tea mug, if you will. And I'm going to go ahead and add, so my recipe is pretty simple and uses these really nice fall flavors. So let's go right ahead and throw in, well, first of all, tools, ladies and gentlemen, okay? We'll go over tools as we make our cocktails. I have my jigger, okay? Trusty old jigger. I use this to measure out my liquid ingredients. I try to be as accurate as possible. I take care and pride in my cocktails, much like a baker would with their baked products and baked goods. Okay, I'm going to add a nice hefty 2 ounces of Iron Smoke straight bourbon whiskey. Oh my goodness. So it's 40% alcohol. It's 80 proof. It is very mixable, very, very mixable. So now I have my local apple cider, and we have lots of apple cider right around here. And I'll add 1.5 ounces of my apple cider. There we go, 1.5 ounces. Lovely. This adds such a nice seasonal flair. So I love making this drink in large batches also. And you can make them in something like this. Oh, yeah, a punch bowl. And what I would do is I would just multiply this recipe by however many people you think you're going to have. It's great for Halloween or Thanksgiving or the rest of the holidays that happen throughout the year. Okay, so now I've got to sort of balance out some of this with, well, some lemon juice and a simple syrup, but I'm using cinnamon syrup. Okay, so I've got some fresh lemon juice right over here that I pre-juiced, and I'm adding 1/2 ounce of my fresh lemon juice directly into the mug, just like that. And I have some cinnamon syrup. So this is actually pre-bought cinnamon syrup. So there are a couple of companies out there that make cinnamon syrup. Monin is one of them. Trader Tiki is another one. If you wanted to make your cinnamon syrup at home, that is great. That is really great. You have more time than I do. You could take some simple syrup, which is just equal parts sugar and water, right? Add some cinnamon sticks to it and let that infuse. Well, let it sit over the stovetop. Let it simmer with the cinnamon sticks, the sugar, and the water. And after 15 minutes simmering, take those cinnamon sticks out, taste it so that you have enough cinnamon. If you don't have enough cinnamon, add new cinnamon sticks back, and you will be all set to go. Okay, good. There's a separate area. Oh, Leo, hi. Yes, go ahead and throw your questions and where you're from in the chat, and we will give shout outs. And of course, as we go along, questions, please go ahead. Okay, now I have to add my pomegranate juice, okay? And we'll throw in 1/2 ounce of pomegranate juice. Again, it's something I love using at this time of year. And now some ice. And here is our first cocktail making technique, rolling, okay? We're not shaking, we're not stirring, we are rolling. So rolling is very simple. It's just moving one vessel with liquid and ice to another and then back, just to kind of briefly mix it. Here we go, ready? There we go, done. So you'll oftentimes see bartenders do that for Bloody Marys. Very popular way of mixing your Bloody Mary. Now garnish. And you'll hear me say this quite often. Garnish is such an important part of all mixed drinks. It not only needs to add flavor, but also add to the appearance and the nose of the cocktail. So I'm just going to, occasionally when I'm working in my workstation, I will tilt my screen down so that you all can see me working here. There we go. And I'll take some of this apple, and I will just slice a few slices of apple and add that here. And I've got some cranberries as well. And we'll add some cranberries. And ladies and gentlemen, as I like to say, boom, we have our Jack-o'-lantern punch with our delicious base spirit of the Iron Smoke Straight Bourbon Whiskey from Fairport, New York. This is for you, sir. I'll be doing that pretty often. Okay, so we've got our first cocktail under our belt, and now I just want to give a little bit of background on me. So, like I said, I'm Jonathan, and I am founder and owner of a company called The Cocktail Guru. And during non-pandemic times, I travel all across the US, and I help bars and restaurants open up, and I design drink menus for bars and restaurants. I also train staff. I do different types of events. We do corporate team building mixology classes as well. I started actually wanting to be an actor in New York City. So after college, I went to school in upstate New York actually. After college, I moved to New York City to become an actor. And it was actually my dad who said, Jonathan, if you want to be an actor in New York City, you should probably get a job at a bar. And I kind of resisted that answer a little bit, but I steamrolled ahead, and I did get a job in a bar to make money. I started as a bar back at a place called the Russian Tea Room in New York City. Who has been to the Russian Tea Room in New York City? Anybody? Yes, amazing place, fine dining. Let me just answer this one question. If you make a large batch, how long can you store it for? You could probably store it for a few days, I would say, as long as it's in a sealed container in your refrigerator. Okay? It would definitely be tough to store this punch in this with like saran wrap in your refrigerator, unless you have a walk-in refrigerator like they do here. But you can kind of add it back to your apple cider container or mason jar or gallon jug, whatever you have. Okay, so got a job as a bar back at the Russian Tea Room. That's like the busboy for the bartender. And I worked my way up. And I was also auditioning at the time. And actually, ladies and gentlemen, you may recognize me from a circa 2003 national network Verizon wireless commercial. Yes, you knew me from somewhere. I could tell. I see it on your faces. I made a boatload of cash in a short amount of time, and I actually quit my bartending job. And I thought, all right, that's it. I won't have to bartend anymore. I won't have to even audition anymore. But how long do you think that lasted? That probably lasted 3-4 months, and then I got back into the bar business because I had to make more money. But then I went full steam ahead, ladies and gentlemen. I started reading cocktail books. I started designing my own drink recipes. I started helping to train staff at the places I was hired in. And then I created the Cocktail Guru in 2006 as like a little side hustle, still kind of auditioning at the time. The side hustle became a full-time hustle, not too long after that. And really, the rest is history. And it has been pretty insane since then. I never thought I'd be where I am today. I get to do these seminars, and I have a family. Yes, I have a family. Alexa says it was meant to be. Thank you. It was meant to be. Thanks. I have a family. My wife, Megan, actually moved in with me while we were in New York City, and she's the one who encouraged me to expand my 9 to 5, kind of more of a 9 to 5 schedule instead of coming home at 4 or 5 in the morning. And we shortly after that moved to Massachusetts. So we are here. We live in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. I am live here from New Bedford, Massachusetts. This is a cocktail bar called the Cultivator Shoals in downtown New Bedford that has not been able to reopen. So I'm using that space. They're kindly allowing me to. It is my office, essentially. And the Cocktail Guru became a nationwide thing, and it's amazing. So we have 2 kids. How could I forget? So our son Benjamin is 9, and our daughter Juniper. Oh, could I get a collective? Ah, I hear you. She's 7. Thank you, Tonya. One person. Great. So here's another trivia question. What liquor product has juniper in it? To be called juniper, it must, to be called juniper, to be called what? It needs to have juniper. Yes, you guys got it. Alexis, Karen, Sarah, Rich, Brett. Juniper, gin. Exactly. Has to have a fairly substantial juniper content, but there are so many different types and styles of gin, which we'll go into when we make the gin cocktail coming up. So what has happened to me and the Cocktail Guru during these times, and hopefully you all are safe and sound and healthy at home or wherever you might be. That is first and foremost, and we are as well, so thank you. We have completely pivoted. The Cocktail Guru has pivoted, and it's been crazy. All we're doing these days, the business is basically virtual happy hours for corporations. It's been amazing. Ever since March, I did my last event in Aspen, which ended up being canceled when I got there. Après-Ski Cocktail Classic in Aspen. This was the middle of March. It was the week before the lockdown. And right when I got back home, I said, all right, we're going to have to pivot. Everyone's saying pivot, pivot. So we do these virtual events. We package up cocktail kits. We send cocktail kits to people's houses, and we do these virtual Zoom sessions or whatever sessions that whatever platforms you might have. Yes, so it's been incredible. And if anyone is interested in that, you can obviously get in touch. And we're super busy. And I have a great team of mixologists, top-notch mixologists across the US that have been doing these for me. And it's been great. And I get to spend time at home. Before the pandemic, I was on the road 75% of the time. So now I get to see the kids. We get to go on hikes. It's great. We have Zen moments. This is amazing. Okay, guys. So, like I said, definitely ask me questions. I will be monitoring the Q&A, but I'd love to go ahead and make this next cocktail for you. How about that? Oh, I'm just bringing up my recipes here. You think I have everything in my brain already? I'm not a young bartender. I have many recipes already in my brain, and then I have these written down so that I don't make a mistake. Okay, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. I'm gonna drink another sip of water. Okay, great. So the gimlet. Oh, Karen said, shout out to Matt K, who personally emailed you along the way. Make sure you're ready for tonight. Yes, Matt, who runs the New York Cocktail Expo. Thank you, my friend. This is great. For those of you who don't know, New York Cocktail Expo puts on these amazing sessions, now virtually, in person in the past. And there's so much great stuff coming up, and I'd love to tell you about it a little later on, what's coming up with the New York Cocktail Expo. Okay, so we are putting our whiskey, Iron Smoke, aside for the time being. And we're going to move on to a vodka-based cocktail. This is my honey gimlet. So a gimlet is a really good example of a balanced, how I sort of, in my brain, work around balance with cocktails. So a gimlet is a member of the sour family. So there are different families of cocktails. We've put cocktails into different families, categories. So the person who taught me all about that was one of my mentors, Gary Regan, also known as Gaz Regan. Look him up. He is amazing. He unfortunately passed away last October, November, but his legacy and his words and his style live on. He was my first mentor, and he trained me. And his book called The Joy of Mixology. I'm going to be throwing out little tidbits here and there. If you're not taking notes, don't worry about it. Feel free to ask me later on. You could shoot me a note, shoot me an email. The Joy of Mixology is a really great book for those of you who are into wanting to know the mechanics of cocktails, why ingredients work well with each other. And so the sour cocktail for me is this drink that allows me to experiment with spirits to see how they behave. So how does vodka behave? How does this particular vodka brand behave in a sour? How does gin behave in a sour? How does rum behave in a sour? A sour is any spirit with a citrus ingredient added to it, plus something to balance it out, the sweetness, some sort of sweetener. So some famous, well-known sours that you may not have realized are sours. A margarita is a tequila sour. A daiquiri is a rum sour. A cosmopolitan is a version of a vodka sour. And a gimlet, also a version of a sour, could be vodka or gin. And it leads us to this cocktail now. I still have my jack-o'-lantern here. I'm going to give it to you. Again, there is nobody here. I'm also going to take my cutting board and make some room. Okay, there we go. So let's talk about tools. This is a shaken cocktail. Now, at home, if you don't have a cocktail shaker, you could use something like a water bottle. You could use a mason jar as a shaker. That works perfectly well. But if you'd like to invest in some good tools, which I definitely would suggest, there are a couple of websites that you can go to. Oh, someone put something in the Q&A. Okay, good. Oh, hi, Lori. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. And so I would invest in what's called a Boston shaker, okay? This is the mixing glass and the mixing tin together, Boston shaker. There's also a different type of shaker, which I happen to have over here. Like I said, they have everything here because it's a bar. This is also sort of a version of a Boston shaker, but we call it a tin on tin because this part is the stainless steel, a small tin, and then that's the big tin, and they kind of fit together like that. I like the Boston shaker. It is classic and classy, and it is really a very traditional way of making drinks. And also, when we're making drinks in the glass, I can see what's happening and what's being built into the glass. Also, your strainer, I have this strainer. It has the springs. It's called a Hawthorne strainer. Fits perfectly well over the big tin. I have my bar spoon. Okay, this one has a pineapple on the end for hospitality, right? Hospitality, love it. I have my muddler. Yep. And of course, my jigger. So let me just rinse out my jigger. So bar tools. If you're not really looking for anything fancy, barproducts.com has some really nice bar tools. If you're looking for like really good, super duper high quality, a little pricier, Cocktail Kingdom is a great website, just cocktailkingdom.com. And they have amazing stuff. They also have amazing books, reproductions of classic cocktail books. I'm going to go over some cocktail books as we make our drinks tonight. Okay, let's just go ahead and make this gimlet. So I'm going to start with my Boston shaker. And first of all, let's talk about our base ingredient, which is our vodka. So I have some Van Gogh vodka right over here. And Van Gogh is Dutch. Well, Van Gogh, the artist, was Dutch. And also the product Van Gogh vodka is Dutch as well. Van Gogh actually makes 15 different expressions, from acai blueberry to mango, delicious flavors, to citrus, to raspberry, to vanilla. This is their unflavored, triple distilled, okay? I love the design, very reminiscent of Van Gogh and his drawings. And that really is the inspiration behind the brand Van Gogh. It is art, it is cocktails, it is combining art and cocktails together. Let's go right ahead and add 1.5 ounces of my Van Gogh vodka directly to my mixing glass. There we are, 1 ounce and 1/2 ounce. What I love about this jigger is that they have measurements on the inside for like 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce. It's really cool. And normally in a gimlet, you've got your vodka or gin, your lime juice, and your simple syrup. I'm having a hard time whistling. That's it, right? So instead of our sweetener being simple syrup, which is sugar and water equal parts, I'm actually using a product called Baron Jaeger. Who's heard of Baron Jaeger? It is a honey liqueur. It is so nice and unique and lovely. And it works well in warm cocktails. Actually, quick sidebar, that Jack-o'-lantern punch could also be served warm. Mind blown, right? It could be served warm. Love it. And this works so nicely in a hot toddy, the Baron Jaeger honey as well. It is from Germany. It is a mead, M-E-A-D, honey-based, a mead-like spirit dating back to the 15th century. And it's named after the bear hunters. That's what Baron Jaeger means, bear hunter of medieval Europe, 15th century Europe. It's pretty cool. I love the story. It is 70 proof. Again, tasting products on their own and making sure that they taste good on their own, and then you use them in cocktails. That is always the way to go, ladies and gentlemen, always the way to go. Yes, Sarah says it's her favorite. Van Gogh or Baron Jaeger, or both. It will be your favorites now. Okay, so let's add 3/4 ounce directly into our mixing glass, just like that. And I'm just going to kind of angle this down so that you all can see. There we go. And I will cap up the Baron Jaeger. I love, if you look at the label there, it's got a little bear and the bear hunter and a beehive. Love it. And now we need to balance, and now we need to add our citrus juice. So I'm doing lime juice that is traditional in a gimlet, okay? And we'll just, let me move that, there we go. Okay. And I have my lime already here. I'm going to just squeeze and measure it out. There we go. You should get 1 ounce of juice from 1 whole lime. And of course, it depends on how juicy those limes are, right? There we go. That's good. Pour that in. Actually, this was a little short, so I'm going to cut a little bit more lime and add a little bit more lime off camera. I'm cutting off camera. There we go. I've got my lime. So if you're following along, go ahead and cut your lime in half and then add it to your juicer and then just juice away. There we go. And add that directly to our mixing glass. Love it. I'm going to put my juicer. This is also a really nice tool to have. Citrus press or juicer. Now I'm going to add ice. You'll see I added my liquid ingredients in here there you go. I've added my liquid ingredients in here first. Oh, let's see what you all are saying on the Q&A. There you go. What is the name of the high-end website to buy bar products? Cocktail Kingdom. cocktailkingdom.com. Thank you, Deborah, for your comment. Thank you, Latricia, for your comment. That's great. So now we will add ice to this glass. So I've added the liquid first, and then I'm going to add ice. And I'm not adding ice and then the liquid on top. Why? Why am I doing that? Because if I added ice and then liquid on top, it would start to prematurely dilute. We don't want that. We want to be able to monitor the dilution rate of our cocktail. It's very important. Ice is such an important part of all drinks. It provides temperature, proper temperature, and the proper dilution. So let's go ahead and add ice all the way up to the top because, again, ice does not like room to move around. The more room ice has to move around, the more watered down it will be. And a lot of bartenders out there tend to not shake as long as they should, and they tend not to put as much ice. If you've got this packed full of ice and you're shaking it, your drink will be colder and more balanced. Okay, so now we take our tin, pop it on top on an angle, okay? Slap it down so that you have that seal. Flip it around. I always shake with the glass on top, and that's so that if any liquid starts to break loose, it will go on me or behind me on these bottles. If I was shaking with the glass on the bottom, then it would go on you bar guests out there. We don't want that. So let me just move this up so you can see me. Also, another important part of shaking is the shaker face, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, take note of my face, the shaker face. Also, for all of you shaking out there, take note of your shaker face. I'm going to pretend that I can see all of you shaking and your faces. And we shake for 8 Mississippis, ladies and gentlemen. That gives you the proper amount of water and the proper temperature in your cocktail. Ready? We're going to do it together. Ready, set, let's go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi. Okay, good job. So now we have to separate the shaker. So you see the tight seal here and the loose seal, it's halfway in between where the glass meets the tin on the inside. And we just cup the heel of our palm and give it a little whack, just like that, okay? And we take our strainer and I have, look at this. Whoa. That was almost disastrous. Live TV, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a little glass rack up here in case you're wondering what all the commotion is about. So now we'll put our Hawthorne strainer on top and strain our drink out just like that. Oh, look at that. That is delicious. And ladies and gentlemen, as a garnish, yes. Oh, dehydrated citrus. So this is part of a kit that we put together for our corporate events, right? Check it out. You are a cocktail guru. You are a cocktail guru. So I'm just going to place that right on top and give it a sip. Cheers. It's nice. I like it. I get the honey. I get that the honey from the Baron Jaeger. The vodka, Van Gogh vodka, perfectly balances it all out. Plus the citrus and that dehydrated. I'm gonna take a, well, I won't take pictures as we go. I'll take a picture after. This is great. Who is actually making the drinks with me? Anyone? Make yourselves known if you are making the drinks with me. Oh, someone just asked a question. Is it similar to Old Krupnik? It is, but I like Baron Jaeger. It is top notch. We've got a couple of questions here. Will these recipes be posted? Yes, absolutely, Lori. We will, you could actually email New York nycocktailexpo@gmail.com. nycocktailexpo@gmail.com. You can also, if you don't, I don't know why you wouldn't want to email them. You should, but you could also email me. And I will add my email address directly to the chat right over here. Jonathan@thecocktailguru.com. There we go. And I am happy to send you those recipes. Van Gogh is one of my favorite vodkas. Someone is asking a question about vodka. It is one of my favorites, actually. I have several spirits that are some of my favorites. I love playing around with different spirits, obviously. And I think that there are some that behave differently than others in certain types of cocktails. And I try as best I can to be sort of an equal, sorry, I'm rinsing, to be an equal opportunist as it pertains to spirits and cocktails and ingredients. So I'm just rinsing out my shaker here. Very important to keep a clean area. That is what my jigger. How convenient it is to have the sink over here. I was doing these sessions from my home cocktail bar, which is in our lower level of the home, the basement. I do have a sink, but it's a couple of paces away, so I would have to step off camera. I don't want to have to be off camera for you guys at all. I want you to see my face the whole time, for better or for worse. Yes, Tasha wants the emails again, nycocktailexpo@gmail.com, or my email, Jonathan, JONATHAN, @thecocktailguru.com. All right, we are 2 cocktails in. Whoa, how's everyone feeling? How are you feeling at home? I'm feeling okay. I have to drive after this, so I'm just taking little sips, but you're at home and you are just starting your evening, and this is great. I'm Jonathan. I've got 3 more cocktails to show you and some more stories. So in order to understand cocktails, I love just discussing some fun historical anecdotes and historical tidbits. Who likes history? I'm kind of a history buff when it comes to cocktails. Oh, there we go. Oh, some questions. Oh, good. What is the wood tool that you're using called? I think I have all those tools, including, so this is a muddler, right? A muddler. It's to mash ingredients at the bottom of your mixing glass, like a mojito, if you were to muddle the limes and mint of a mojito. Different types of muddlers out there. I also have some interesting products on my website. Shameless plug. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So there is a particular gentleman that was around in the 19th century that we like to call the forefather of mixology. And I always love chatting about him because he was a huge influence. And his name was Jerry Thomas. Has anyone heard of Jerry Thomas before? Known as the forefather of mixology, he tended bar and owned bars in the 1830s, 40s, 50s in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, LA, New Orleans. And he was such an important, he invented many drinks that we know of today. And he also was a showman. He was kind of the first flair bartender. He rarely spent time behind the bar. He had his bartenders making drinks, but sometimes he would walk behind the bar and everyone knew, okay, Jerry Thomas is going to put on a show. Here's an example of one of his shows. So what he would do is he would come back. Everyone would think to themselves, what is Jerry Thomas going to do? What is he going to do? He would put on a big black top hat, Abraham Lincoln style. He would stand there. All of a sudden, a mouse would jump out, go on one shoulder. Another mouse would jump out, go on the other shoulder. And they would do this routine where they would run from shoulder to shoulder and back into his hat. Oh my goodness, people loved it. He had a name for his pet mice. He called them Tom and Jerry, after himself, Jerry Thomas. And yes, folks, we think, well, it is thought that the cartoon characters were named after Tom and Jerry, Jerry Thomas's pet mice. Now, Jerry Thomas lived in New York City for a time, and his landlord was none other than P.T. Barnum, the greatest showman in the world. And he learned a lot of his tricks from P.T. Barnum. They became close friends. Now, Jerry Thomas also wrote a drink book. I just happen to have it right over here, called Jerry Thomas's Bartender's Guide. Okay, this is not an original version. He wrote it in 1862. You could get reproductions of this online, or you can also actually probably go to eBay and maybe spend thousands of dollars on original Jerry Thomas. This book is super important in the bartending mixology world because it included recipes for cocktails. Never before were there drink books with recipes for what we call the cocktail. Believe it or not, 1862. He has a whole chapter on it. Here it is, receipts, recipes for making all kinds of punch, eggnog, julep, smashes, cobblers, cocktails, sangarees, which is like an early version of a sangria, mulls, toddies, slings, sours, flips. Jerry Thomas, 1862. And of course, you have subsequent cocktail books that were inspired by Jerry Thomas, including, oh, what is this? First shameless plug of the night, the Mr. Boston Bartender's Guide. Has anyone heard or seen of this Mr. Boston Bartender's Guide? It is very famous. It's been around since the 1930s. It's gone through about 30 different editions. And 8 years ago, they asked me to do the 75th anniversary edition. So I edited this monster of a book. And it has 1,500 drink recipes in it. And we did the biggest edit to date. Everything is categorized by the liquor type: vodka, gin, rum, tequila, whiskey. We have beer cocktails, wine cocktails, available on my website, signed, personalized to you. I'll bring this up later. Don't you worry. We also have other Cocktail Guru merch on there as well. Some that is not on there that I'll talk about later. So I also love talking about the origin of the word cocktail, which we'll actually talk about in a second. But what I'd love to do is do a little cocktail trivia. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Yes, you love that, don't you? Bar patron number 3. Bar patron number 5, I'll be right with you. Okay. How about some trivia? Do you guys like trivia? Are you a competitive bunch? Okay. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, New York Cocktail Expo, how to make cocktails. Trivia question number 1, numero uno. What was Tom Cruise's character in the movie Cocktail? Yeah, use the chat. What was Tom Cruise's character's name in the movie Cocktail? It's a tough one, and it's definitely generational. I was doing an event for some LinkedIn interns, and crickets. Nobody knew. But maybe it's crickets now, too. It's kind of esoteric. Tanya doesn't know. Anybody out there? Oh, my goodness. Kate got it. I don't know if you used Google or not. I'm not judging. Kate got it. It is Brian Flanagan. Absolutely. Kate, you get a, can I do thumbs up on this? Maybe I can't. Nope. But you get a thumbs up. And one of these. Okay, great. Wonderful, guys. How about another one? How about another one? Here we go. Oh, this is a good one. This drink is the most popular cocktail in the US. It actually accounts for 60% of all cocktails served. This cocktail is the most popular cocktail in the US. We've got, okay, Sarah says Cosmo, Austin saying Long Island iced tea. We got Martini, Old Fashioned, Cosmo. Oh, you guys, keep guessing. Keep guessing. Oh, Tasha got it. Margarita. Yay, Tasha. The margarita cocktail accounts for up to 60% of all cocktails served in the wild in the US. It's crazy. Every year after year, I always wait. Will it be, next year, will it be the old fashioned? Will it be the gin and tonic? Will it be the Manhattan? It is the margarita, which is a lovely, lovely cocktail. A tequila gimlet, essentially, right? Cool. You guys are learning. You guys are learning so much. I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead into our next cocktail. And this is an homage to a wonderful mixologist named Audrey Saunders, who opened up, well, she's opened up several places in New York City. And her cocktail, one of her signature cocktails, this was served at the Pegu Club in New York City, which I actually went to the opening of. I believe it opened in 2002, something like that. Unfortunately, it has closed since the pandemic. So RIP to the bar. And Audrey Saunders is an amazing mixologist. She created this beautiful cocktail called the Gin Gin Mule. And it is a version of a Moscow Mule, but with gin and ginger, hence Gin Gin Mule. So we're gonna do a little twist, a little variation on the Gin Gin Mule. So all of you were making drinks with me at home, you can grab your gin, your Scapegrace gin, okay? Scapegrace gin. You can grab some honey ginger syrup and some fresh lime juice and some mint and some soda water. Let me grab my fresh herbs, first of all. Oh, that's not it. That is an empty bag. Here we go. These are my fresh herbs from my garden. Still have some mint. And it's actually really nice and flavorful. Look at that. And some marigold flowers. Love it. We'll put that down over here. And we're going to again start with our Boston Shaker, the mixing glass. And our base ingredient is this Scapegrace gin. And I just want to give it a little, I'm just going to give it a little taste, first of all, and kind of go through a little tasting. How about that? I like to do that. Okay, just going to pour myself a little. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. Gin. So who's a gin fan out there? Raise your hand or make yourselves known if you're a gin fan. I do love gin. Yes, Rich is a fan. I love gin. And, you know, when I was working behind the bar and I would make gin cocktails and I would suggest drinks to people who would ask me, what do you suggest? I would usually steer them towards a gin cocktail. And then many of them would say, oh, I can't do gin. I have to stay away from gin. I had a bad experience. I like to think that if you had a bad experience with any product, you probably didn't have the right one for you and you didn't have it prepared the right way, right? So if they say, you know, I don't want a gin cocktail, I'll say, okay, do you like flavored vodka? And they'll say, well, yeah, who doesn't like flavored vodka? Great, I have this amazing cocktail that uses a juniper flavored vodka. See what I did there? Yes, gin starts off as a neutral grain spirit and then has the herbs and botanicals added to it in an infusion process, juniper being one of the main botanicals. And so it is essentially vodka first and then has this infusion process. So I'm just gonna give it a nose. I get some floral notes, I get some licorice. So Scapegrace is from New Zealand, in fact. Yes, believe it or not, they make gin in New Zealand. What does Scapegrace mean? Do you know what Scapegrace means? It means a rogue or a scoundrel. I've been called a Scapegrace from time to time. It is made using a copper pot still, so small batches, copper pot, as opposed to a column still or continuous still. That could be a whole class in and of itself. 12 different botanicals, definitely juniper forward. And these are, you've got different styles of gin. This is a London Dry style of gin. London Dry is juniper forward. You also have a new Western style of gin that is toning down the juniper and adding other types of botanicals, more for our palate, the American palate. I love a good London Dry style gin, especially this one from New Zealand. You get that licorice, that's one of the botanicals. I love it. Coriander, cinnamon, juniper, licorice. It's all there. It's nice, well-rounded, and appetizing. It makes me actually want to have it with food. Okay. So let's go ahead and take our mixing glass right here. And first thing, I'm going to angle my camera here. There we go. First thing I'm going to do is add my mint leaves. How about that? Okay. Where are you? There you are. Oh, how about right there? Hey, yo. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and add our mint leaves. So I'm going to take, let's say 8 to 10 mint leaves. Okay. These are really nice, flavorful local mint. Now, I'm not going to muddle. You may think I would muddle this and use my muddler. No, I'm actually just going to put it in the palm of my hand, give it a slap. That is just as good as muddling. It releases all the aromas. Oh my gosh, if we could have smell-o-vision. So this mint is absolutely beautiful. So I put my mint right into my glass just like that. I'm going to add 2 ounces of my Scapegrace gin directly into my mixing glass. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Perfect. Now, this is actually also a variation on a sour because it has a sweetener and your lime juice. So I have my sweetener, which I'm actually going to use, is a honey ginger syrup, which I have over here. Now, these are from a company called Cheeky. They make these really nice craft syrups that we use in all of our cocktail kits for our corporate mixology classes. Their honey ginger syrup is absolutely amazing. I'm using 3/4 ounce of the honey ginger syrup. And of course, our lime, right? Okay, cutting my lime right here. We're going to add 3/4 ounce. You'll start to see a pattern with amounts, right? 2 ounces of the spirit, 3/4 ounce citrus, 3/4 ounce sweetener, right? And that's the general rule. Okay, so we'll squeeze and I will add more. You could also pre-squeeze your juices. I decided not to today, and that is okay. That is completely fine. There we go. And we'll add that directly into our glass. That was 3/4 of an ounce. And we'll put our citrus press aside. Now we will fill with ice. Remember, we fill all the way to the tippy top, just like that. And I pop my tin on top on an angle, slap it down, flip it around. Want you guys to see me and my shaker face. Ready? How long do we do this for? Again, who remembers? Who remembers how long we shake for? Oh, I'm sorry. Someone is asking, what's the name of the syrup? It's called Cheeky. You could also get it in our cocktail kits if you hire us to do your corporate mixology classes virtually. 8 Mississippis. Let's go. 1 Mississippi. So shake it awake, don't rock it to sleep is what we say. 2 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi. 4 Mississippi. 5 Mississippi. 6 Mississippi. 7 Mississippi. 8 Mississippi. All right. Now we separate that shaker and delicious. That ginger and the mint work so well together. And I have my strainer, trusty old strainer. And we're going to use actually a highball glass. Yes, here's a nice highball glass. I'm still here, guys. I'm just moving away to grab my highball glass. Here we go. This is actually a really giant, yeah, they've got giant highball glasses here. Okay. I'm going to fill my highball glass, also known as a Collins glass, with ice. Okay. And I have my soda water. So instead of straining into my glass and then topping it off with the soda water, I'm going to add my soda water first so that everything mixes very well together and all those ingredients marry. They get married. This is a Mandarin citrus soda water. You can use any type of soda water you have out there. There we go. And we'll just strain this out. Look at that. And okay, I'll just add a little bit more ice. So now, of course, we have to garnish, right? So garnish for this cocktail is going to be a nice, beautiful mint sprig and a candied ginger slice. Where are you? There's the candied ginger that was in our little garnish packet, the URA Cocktail Guru garnish packet. Candied ginger, I love these things. I nibble them, I snack on them. We'll just put that right on top. And we will take a nice mint sprig, how about a couple of mint sprigs? And if we're using sprigs of herbs as garnish, I just take them in my hand and give them a little flick. That releases the aromas so that when you bring this to your nose, oh, look at that. The Gin Gin Mule with Scapegrace Gin. Oh, how much soda water? Oh, good question. It's about 2 to 3 ounces of soda water. It also depends on the volume of your glass, but I do, about 2 to 3 ounces of soda water. Should we give this a taste? The spice of the ginger, the spice of the Scapegrace Gin, the balance with the lime, the soda water, that little bit of citrus from the soda water. Definitely, if you can, use a citrus flavored soda water. This is great. That mint, you get the mint in the flavor and also in the nose. Oh my goodness. It's good. It is strikingly good and easy to drink. But I will put it over here and I will rinse out my shaker. How's everyone doing? Yes, we've got 2 more cocktails. And after I'm done making these cocktails, we're going to kind of leave the line open for some Q&A. A little bit more Q&A. Delicious, beautiful. You guys are great. Thank you again for joining. This is amazing. You guys are awesome for coming and doing this and supporting the New York Cocktail Expo. We are ever so grateful and thankful for that. Hey, you. Have you wondered where the word cocktail comes from? Have you wondered when the first time cocktail was ever defined? I know you're wondering. I know you're thinking, well, when was the cocktail defined? I really want to know. Well, if you want to know, awesome. Thank you, Kate. Kate says she has not wondered. Okay, Thank you. You're in for a treat now, because I'm going to tell you. So the word cocktail, first of all, we think comes from the 1700s, and this is a great story. Here's one story that I love to tell, that it started in a tavern in New England, and back then, 1700s, the taverns had rooms up above, and it was usually an older gentleman who owned the tavern and the rooms up above, and he would employ his daughter or daughters as the bartenders. And he would say, the gentleman would put their daughters as the bartenders, right? And so there was the story of this one bartender who had a signature drink that people would come in and order. And she had a special garnish for this drink. She would make her drink, put it in front of the guest, and then pluck a rooster's feather and put it in the drink as the garnish, or a cock feather. She started calling this drink a cocktail. Love it. I really like that story. And then another story is a true story. We actually know there is fact behind it. The cocktail defined. It was first mentioned in print, the word cocktail, in the year 1803. And then it was defined in 1806. Okay? When did Jerry Thomas write his book? 1862, with a whole section on cocktails. It was defined in 1806, and they defined it as a spirit of any kind, sugar, water, and bitters. Okay? Think about that for a second. Spirit of any kind, sugar, water, bitters. Does that sound familiar to you? Does that cocktail, does that drink combination sound familiar to you? Anyone? You can answer in the chat if you like. Who has had a drink? Oh, let's say, yes, Austin got it, an old fashioned. Actually, the first cocktail, the definition for the cocktail was defining an old fashioned. Okay? Now, here's a trivia question. We're gonna go back to trivia, okay? Here's a cool trivia question. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, this is good. What US city is known to have invented the first cocktail? Kind of a trick question. What US city is known to have been the inventor of the cocktail? Carol got it, New Orleans. Was that cocktail the old-fashioned cocktail? 'Twas not. In fact, it was not. It actually started with, what bar doesn't have Peychaud's bitters? A guy called Antoine Peychaud. And he was a Haitian pharmacist who immigrated from Haiti to New Orleans to open up his own apothecary, right? And back then pharmacists, they would bottle their own medicinal bitters and they would prescribe them to their guests. So Antoine Peychaud has Peychaud's bitters, which is still around to this day. And this was the 1830s, okay? So about 20-something years after the first printed definition of the word cocktail. The story goes, he and his friends were down in the basement. They would have raucous parties. This is New Orleans in the 1830s. If you think about how New Orleans was pre-pandemic and then how it was in the 1830s, wild, right? Absinthe, everything was flowing. So opium. So they ended up taking a combination and mixing it together. Cognac, absinthe, sugar, water, Peychaud's bitters. And they decided to call it a drink called a Sazerac, named after the brand of cognac they were using, Sazerac cognac. Yes, Karen, you got it, Sazerac. It became a sensation up the Mississippi River to the east, to the west, and it was the hit, the thing to have. All the bars were serving it. And it is now today traditionally known in New Orleans that they are the creator of the first cocktail. They're really the creator of the first popular cocktail, okay? Now, if you go to New Orleans and you get an old fashioned, you get a Sazerac, it will have rye whiskey instead of cognac because we've changed it around throughout the years. Late 1800s, we had the phylloxera outbreak, which decimated all of the wine crops in France. And then World War I, World War II. So we just substituted with our native spirit, rye whiskey. And thus the story of the Sazerac. All right, well, let's go ahead and make cocktail number 4. Yes, cocktail number 4. So this cocktail is actually a variation on an old-fashioned, sort of. I'll show you. who's had a Negroni before? Someone mentioned that their favorite drink or that they're drinking a Negroni. I love Negronis, traditional Italian cocktail, gin, Campari, sweet vermouth, right? So there is also a variation on the Negroni called a Boulevardier, which switches out gin for whiskey, American whiskey, bourbon or rye. Now I'm doing a sort of a Japanese version of a Boulevardier. I like to call it Japanese Sunset. Okay, so here is the product that we're using. We're using the Hatozaki Japanese whiskey. Oh my goodness. It is fine Japanese whiskey as it states on the bottle. 80 proof, 40% alcohol. Where is it made? It's made at the Kaikyo Distillery. Hatozaki is a pure malt whiskey. It's 100%, it's a blend of 100% malt whiskeys, including actual whiskey, yes, distilled in Japan and imported malt whiskeys. They make whiskey in Japan. They make darn good whiskey in Japan. This is actually aged in a few different casks, right? Because whiskey is aged in different types of casks. So what do they age it in? 3 different casks. Old bourbon casks, because in the US, we can make bourbon only with new oak, and then we can't reuse it, so we sell the barrels off, and Japan will buy our barrels. Hatozaki will buy our barrels, or Hatozaki, I love saying Hatozaki. They use bourbon barrels, sherry barrels, and Mizunara barrels. Love saying that too, Mizunara, which is Mongolian oak, essentially, known as Mongolian oak. What is Hatozaki named after? It's named after the Hatozaki Lighthouse, which is the oldest stone lighthouse in Japan, believe it or not. I'm going to do a little taste test of this, just like I did with the other products. Okay, we'll rinse out my glass. Okay, actually, get that water out. And okay, ready? So it is nice and light. Oh, such a nice malty, spicy nose. You can, I would have this over ice with like a nice cigar. I could just imagine myself sitting out back on an Adirondack chair with a bonfire, this on ice and a cigar. Really, that's all I need. and it tastes so great, and I could see it working really well in different types of cocktails. And it works exceptionally well in this cocktail that I'm going to make for you now. So this cocktail is actually a stirred cocktail, okay? You all have heard the saying. Have you heard the saying? When do we stir a cocktail and when do we shake a cocktail? Huh? The big debate. Traditionally, here's the basic rule. We stir a cocktail that contains all alcohol, and we shake a cocktail that has any citrus, sweetener, anything that needs to be emulsified. Okay, basic rule. There are exceptions to that rule. And I like to say the martini cocktail is an exception, because I like shaken martinis, just like whom? James Bond. You could call me Pogash, Jonathan Pogash. Thank you. Sarah, I could tell that you're going to call me Pogash, Jonathan Pogash now. Thanks for commenting on that. Yes, so I like shaken martinis. A Negroni, I will not shake. A Manhattan, I will not shake. Old-fashioned, no shaking, stirring. But let's go ahead and do and show you our stirring technique here. So I'm taking my mixing glass, okay? This is a nice fancy Japanese style bar tool actually, and my spoon, okay? And we will build our cocktail directly into our mixing glass, okay? So let's do this. 2 ounces of my Hatozaki Japanese whiskey directly into my mixing glass. Beautiful, 2 ounces, there we go. We are being precise, we are being exact. Now I'm going to use Amaro, which is an Italian digestif. Amaro means bitter, so it does have some bitter notes to it, and it is a touch sweet. So if we're thinking of an old fashioned, right, whiskey, sugar, water, simple syrup, Amaro, bitters, Amaro, why not? I'm going to use an Amaro right over here. This bar has several different Amaros, and we're going to do an ounce of our Amaro directly into the mixing glass, just like that. We'll put that back. Now we will use a bitter Italian liqueur. There are several out there these days. I'm using 1/2 ounce. Aperitivo, aperitivo as opposed to digestivo for the Amaro. Okay, aperitivo, aperitif before the meal. Digestivo for digestion after the meal. There you go. Okay, add a little bit more spice notes with our cinnamon syrup. We used that in the jack-o'-lantern punch earlier. So we'll do 1/2 ounce of our cinnamon syrup. And now we will add ice, and I'm going to tilt my screen so that you all can see. There we go. So stirring technique, keep the back of the spoon on the inside of the glass, and I kind of hold it like chopsticks, and I just spin it around. And when we are stirring our drink, we stir for twice as long. So instead of shaking, right, 8 Mississippis, we are stirring for 16 Mississippis. This will dilute the drink and give you the proper temperature for your drink as well. Move that to the side. So I'm just going to actually prepare my glass. So I will get a really nice old-fashioned glass or rocks glass. Don't worry, I'm still here. And I have a nice ice cube. So here's my glass, okay? There we go. And here's my ice cube. Let me move this out of the way so you can see. My wife kindly made me big cubes with flowers in them. I love playing around with big cubes. You can get these silicone ice cube trays on Amazon. There are also really great ice cube trays that will make perfectly clear ice. This is not one of them, but that's okay. I think it's a little nasturtium flower in there. So we'll just place that right there. Look at that. Get in there. And this should be ready now, okay? It is ready. Now we will add our Hawthorne strainer, right? And pour this just like that. Oh, look at that. It is silky, it is velvety. That's what stirring a drink does, it's texture. It creates a velvety texture, or I guess you could say a little thicker, and a shaken drink is actually maybe a little thinner on your palate. Now, how about a garnish? All right. So our garnish is an orange peel, and I'm just going to show you how I do my peel. Here's my orange, okay? I make a little base, just like that, and then I cut from the top all the way down to the very bottom so that we get a really nice long swath, oval. All of the oils are on the skin, and that's what you're going to squeeze over the top. But before we do that, you didn't think I would do a cocktail seminar without setting something on fire, did you? No? I'm gonna do it. We're gonna flame this orange peel. So check it out. The oils on oranges and lemons are flammable, and it's kind of fun. It will caramelize the oil if you actually flame it. So here's the method, okay? First of all, you've got to warm up the outside. Warm up the outside of your orange, okay? For those of you who have cameras out there, you may want to take a photo of this fire action. And I'm going to squeeze it over the glass and over the flame. Ready? Whoa, it was quick. Hopefully that fire showed up on screen. And rub it around the rim and just drop it in, just like that. This is my Japanese sunset using Hotozaki finest whiskey from the Kaikyo Distillery in Japan, a pure malt. Oh yeah. Oh, this is good. This is also another good one. I mean, if you can make these at home, please do. Please do. We have one more cocktail, and I'd love to entertain some more questions. But I'm actually going to go right into making the next cocktail, the fifth and final cocktail. The fifth and final cocktail is a dessert style cocktail. Who likes dessert cocktails? I mean, everybody does, right? I'm going to do a quick trivia question first. Okay, guys, quick trivia question. Ready? Here we go. The Cosmopolitan cocktail was made famous by this TV show. This is an easy one. Use the chat. The Cosmopolitan. Wow, Sarah, you are quick. Sex and the City, exactly. Now, there is debate over who invented the Cosmopolitan cocktail. We like to say it is a gentleman, a bartender from New York, Toby Cecchini, who invented the Cosmopolitan. A lot of people think a guy called Dale DeGroff, who's kind of one of our modern mixology fathers of the industry. Dale DeGroff perfected the recipe for sure in the 90s when he worked at the Rainbow Room and Windows on the World. The traditional Cosmo was citrus vodka, roses, lime juice, cranberry juice, and triple sec. Roses? No thanks. He took it out and he added fresh lime juice and the flamed orange peel. Dale DeGroff was the first to kind of do the flamed orange peel as presentation. It's awesome. Dale DeGroff is still around. He has actually a book called The Craft of the Cocktail. Craft of the Cocktail. Great book. Joy of Mixology by Gary Regan. Great book. Mr. Boston Bartender's Guide from my website, thecocktailguru.com. You can go to the store section. Merchandise. Buy them. A couple of other things too, which I'll go over in a second. All right. This last cocktail I like to call the Chocolate Dream. Like I said, it's dessert. I like to pair cocktails with food as well. We could do a whole class on food pairings and cocktails. How about that? How about that? Actually, I think I'm going to do another class in November. Is that right? Matt Kay, who runs the New York Cocktail Expo? Yes, we are, I believe. We are doing a class in November, brunch-style cocktails. Speaking of brunch, who likes a good Bloody Mary? Yes, Bloody Marys are so good. In fact, my dad, who is also in the industry, remember I spoke about him before? This is his book, Bloody Mary, limited quantities. It's actually really lovely letterpress, hand-bound drink book. The story of the Bloody Mary is what that book is all about. Oh, by the way, I didn't even show this. That's Jerry Thomas with his Blue Blazer cocktail, which I didn't even talk about. That was his signature cocktail. Crazy. Jerry Thomas was a little bit of a nut, but very influential. Hey, these are also cool. Little cocktail kit tins. We use these for our corporate mixology classes too. All right, just throwing that kind of stuff in there. All right, so Chocolate Dream, let's do this. So we're using a couple of products as our base. The Marie Brizard Chocolate Royale. Look at that. So Marie Brizard is a liqueur, French liqueur company that's been around since 1755, started by a woman named Marie Brizard with anisette, which is a very famous and well-known French, traditionally French liqueur, licorice flavor, right? Anise. But they have so many delicious varieties of French liqueurs, and the Chocolate Royale happens to be made specifically with African cocoa beans. It's 34 proof, so 17% alcohol. Pretty low and mild. You could spike your coffee and make a mocha with it. You could do an espresso, a mocha martini, which is basically what this is. This is like a mocha martini. So we're going to use the Marie Brizard Chocolate Royale as our base, okay? Let me rinse out my jigger. When I talk about a base ingredient, that is the ingredient that we have the most of in the cocktail. Let's go over our drinks, right? Our first drink, I used the Iron Smoke straight bourbon whiskey as the base. Then we had Van Gogh vodka as the base in the gimlet. Then we had the Scapegrace gin as the base in the Gin Gin Mule. The Hatozaki Japanese whiskey in the Japanese Sunset as the base. Now in our Chocolate Dream, we have the Marie Brizard Chocolate Royale. So let's do 2 ounces. Oh, look at that. It is so nice and thick and decadent already. Oh, I smell it, and it smells lovely. To make this kind of a little bit of a coffee kick, we used Van Gogh earlier. This is actually their double espresso vodka. And we're doing 1 ounce of our Van Gogh double espresso vodka. Look at that. And now we need to add some sort of a dairy product. You could use any dairy or non-dairy that you have: oat milk, whole milk, heavy cream. I kind of have a sweet tooth. We're just going for it. We are literally going for it. Sweetened condensed milk. Yeah, I know, right? 1 ounce, okay? Whoa, super thick. Hey, it's the time of year when we're gonna splurge, right? We are splurging at this time of year. It's starting with the holidays coming up. Here we go. Now I'm going to tilt my screen and add ice, okay? Adding this ice. Yeah. Shaker tin on top, right? Flip it around. Shake it awake, don't rock it to sleep. 8 Mississippis. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, Make sure to smile when you shake. 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi. Look at that. It's a mocha martini. It is a mocha martini. So now we put our Hawthorne strainer on top, and as my glass, oh, there we go. Nice little, not a martini glass. It is called a cocktail coupe glass. Okay. During Prohibition era or pre-Prohibition, champagne was served. Champagne coupe cocktails. We'll strain this out. Wow, that is so thick. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to put that through my lips. So now, of course, we need to add our garnish, right? So should I do a little bit more fire? Did you all know that the answer is yes? Yes to fire. Did you know that cinnamon is flammable too? Yeah, it's flammable. And I have my cinnamon here, okay? And I'm just going to add some cinnamon and make it sparkle, okay? You ready? You just light your match or your lighter or your torch and just sprinkle some cinnamon on top. Watch. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. And oh, that cinnamon. So cinnamon is from a tree. It is bark and it is flammable, like I said. But when you add that fire to it, it smokes it and it's really nice. There you go. I'm going to put it to my nose. That smoked cinnamon, that chocolate and espresso. That's so good. It's a shake. It's an alcoholic shake. It's also a little lower in alcohol than a lot more traditional cocktails, which is good. You could have more of them and not be totally sloshed, and you can enjoy it with food. I love that. That is a really good drink. Again, Taste-O-Vision. Oh, Lori said that's her kind of drink. Good. Kate says, I mentioned the book Craft of the Cocktail. What is the original book and the new Craft of the Cocktail? Oh, then the book is new. Oh, yes. So Dale DeGroff just released the new Craft of the Cocktail, which is his updated version. It has new recipes, new techniques. It is slightly different. Has a lot of the old stuff, but some other things have been changed around. I actually haven't seen a copy of the new one. Anyone out? Dale? Dale? But I look forward to being able to peruse it, definitely. Oh, nice. Oh, Kate just put it on hold at the New York Public Library. There you go. Libraries. We've been using libraries so much more often now than ever before. For our car rides, we have our books on tape for the kids. It's great. I love it. So again, I'm cleaning as I go. Cleaning as I go. I'm going to rinse out my jigger and my cocktail shaker. There we go. That had this delectable chocolate dream drink. All right. Cool. Good. Good, good, good. This has been so great. And I'm just rinsing. Don't mind me. How's everyone feeling? How are you guys doing? You ready for, I was gonna say, are you ready for a night on the town, but we're not doing that yet. We're not doing nights out on the town. Maybe you are, it depends on where you are. Friends, your family, your pods. Yeah, so guys, these are the 5 cocktails. Look, I'm gonna show you. Look at that. There are the drinks, there they are. The 5 drinks that we made together. You saw a little behind the scenes action though. I'm gonna leave some space now for some questions. Do you have a question that you've been itching to ask me throughout this whole session? I know, who's gonna drink all of these? Actually, my wife asked me to sneak some back home for her. And I'm just thinking how I would do that, what vessel, what container I might put it in, but I'm gonna figure something out. Don't worry, honey, if you're watching, I will bring cocktail back with me. Don't worry. Yes, mason jars. Sarah says mason jars. I don't know, they might have a mason jar. I have some containers. Letitia says, what should you do if you are rusty behind the bar? Me personally, or one in general, someone who works well? just keep practicing. You can practice for your friends and family. Keep reading up on cocktails, watching videos. I have a bunch of videos on the Cocktail Guru YouTube channel and on my Facebook channel. New York Cocktail Expo seminars. Keep doing this. Keep learning. Never stop learning. That is my biggest piece of advice. I do not claim to be an expert. I am always learning and learning from you. You at home, you inspire me and you allow me to be creative all the time. Alexis asks, should I create infusions of herbs, make a syrup or alcohol? Syrups are much easier to make with herbs than infusing in alcohol. You actually need a little bit of sugar to release the oils from the skins themselves. They won't really get released if you just throw them in neutral alcohol. You can do that with dried herbs. If you want to make an infusion with alcohol and herbs, use dried herbs. Those will actually activate a little bit better than fresh herbs in the spirit. But the easiest is to make a simple syrup. So I just happen to have simple syrup right here. Just equal parts sugar and water. Make your simple syrup and you can add mint or basil, rosemary directly into the container. Let it sit overnight and then taste it. If it's enough, great. If it's not, keep it in there. Let it infuse. That is the easiest way to use herbs in a syrup. That is a really good question. So just to quickly go over some of these things, we know the Mr. Boston book is available signed on my website, right? We do know that. Other merch, well, there's a really cool Cocktail Guru polo shirt. I don't think it's listed on the website, but if you're interested, you can email me. Those are special. A pin, Cocktail Guru pin, also not on the website. You can email me if you're interested. There we go. Thanks, Karen. Thank you. Very kind words from you. Tanya says, how big of a role do ice cubes play? Ice, very important role in cocktails. If not the most important role, adds water to your drink and keeps your drink cold, right? At a certain amount of water. Now, the bigger the ice cube, the longer the drink will stay cold and the less diluted it will be. If you're using smaller cubes, right, your drink will dilute a little quicker. Big cubes will not dilute as fast. So that is the reasoning behind using big ice cubes. Right, all drinks have a certain amount of water. They need to have a certain amount of water for balance. And that's really what ice does. It creates balance in the cocktail by adding water and making it cold, keeping it cold. And the key is to have your drink cold for the entire duration of drinking it. So like a martini style cocktail, which is the Chocolate Dream, has to be shaken for that proper amount of time with the proper amount of ice in order for it to stay cold, right? Jazeel says, are we going to have a certificate? Ladies and gentlemen, it is a verbal certificate. I knight thee cocktail gurus. There, how about that? That is your certificate. But folks, I wanted to give you a little intro into what is happening with the New York Cocktail Expo also. So please tune in to the best bourbon in the old fashioned competition. This is a live stream where we determine the best bourbon in an old fashioned. That is December 1st of this year, on the first day of December, during New York Cocktail Expo's online week. So get it up, get going, get on it, please. We will have an industry panel of judges, wink, wink, who will blind taste different bourbons in old fashions, and they're gonna pick the top 3 bourbons. It's great. You can go to newyorkcocktailexpo.com to register. And of course, you can follow New York Cocktail Expo at NY Cocktail Expo. You can follow me at The Cocktail Guru. You guys are great. Thank you. If anyone, we have a couple minutes. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Mary, for the kind words. You guys are awesome. I'll hang out here for a couple more minutes, but I also want to let you guys know that I want to thank you for joining me. In closing, I hope you learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot by listening and being able to coordinate our chat and to make these cocktails for you. And I hope to see you soon in person. If not, we'll continue to do this virtually. Thank you so much. We will be in touch to help you guys with your cocktails and sending your recipes if you like. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Scapegrace Gin, Marie Brizard, Iron Smoke Whiskey, Van Gogh Vodka, Baron Jaeger Honey Liqueur, Hatsuzaki, Japanese Whiskey. Without these brand sponsors, without our partners, this would not be possible. These are all amazing products. If you can, go to your liquor store. You can get so much more online now from websites like Drizzly and Reserve Bar, and you can order many of these products there. If your local liquor store does not carry this product, you can ask them to bring the product in. A lot of people don't realize that. Yes. I want you to keep in touch. We want you to keep in touch. New York Cocktail Expo, along your drink making journey. So keep in touch along your journey. That would definitely please us. Thank you all, everyone. You all are amazing. Stay well, stay safe. Don't forget to vote, and please wear a mask. Thank you all, everyone. Thank you. You're awesome. Cheers, everyone. Bye. I'll do a little dance. Thank you. Peace out. Peace to you. Take care, everyone.